Welcome back to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Today is Saturday night, February 24th, 2018. Taking a look at our quick space weather news from SPACEWEATHER.com. Solar wind speeds have declined to 429.5 kilometers per second with a density of 5.2. Again, we are blank as far as sunspots go today. This is the 7th day in a row. And notice how the aurora picture here, we see pink in it. SPACEWEATHER.com is pointing this out. Now, this is not a coincidence. We've been 7 days now without sunspots. Cooler temperatures, of course, when we don't have sunspots. And the pink represents the nitrogen that is being produced in the atmosphere. And obviously, we all know what nitrogen does. So again, that's 25 days for 2018 without a sunspot. 45% of the year so far is young. Looking at our KP indices, it is at a 1 right now. We were at a max at a 3, so no geomagnetic storms. However, back up here at the top, they did talk about here on the 26th that there's a 65% chance of a G1 class geomagnetic storm on February 26th. And this is because of the coronal hole that we are facing right now. As we look here on SPACEWEATHER.com, they've got it outlined exactly where this minor solar wind stream is going to be coming from on the 26th. So right there, it's earth facing right now. You see the lines pointing to it. And then we have in the let's call it the 10 o'clock position of the sun, eastern limb. Sorry guys, but we have another coronal hole developing, so that's far north of the equatorial position, but it could graze the magnetic field as well. So again, a weaker corona heading into a minimum, so these coronal holes will be a frequent thing. And of course, the top story tonight is right now looking at windy.com, focusing on one specific area of the country right now, and that is, of course, the Tennessee, Kentucky, and the Southeast. Now, the dangerous part about these storms here in Mississippi and Alabama into Tennessee is that these are pop-up, and they are just, when they happen, and there's a tornado watch in effect right now in Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky. And the fear is that it's night, so we can't see outside, it's dark, power goes out, high winds. These storms are capable of producing tornadoes, and you might only have seconds to prepare yourself for cover. So definitely a dangerous situation right now in the midsection of our country. Indiana, Illinois receiving more flooding rains. South Bend has already called this event a 500-year type flood for them. So again, our prayers and thoughts are out there right now as damages are still being assessed. There was a tornado in southeast Kentucky near the Tennessee border. It has been reported that one person was killed. Again, the tornado has not been confirmed, but coming from the live pictures that we've seen from there and the damage that's going on right now, it certainly does look like stronger than straight line winds went through that area. So another small town in a weird part of the year getting tornadoes gets ripped up. So and here's just some more on the tornado warnings here. I want to go over this real quick. We have severe thunderstorm warnings in St. Francis, Mississippi, Crichton, and Shelby counties. Severe thunderstorm warning is now expired for them, but the tornado watches are still in effect, and this is Mississippi now, till 9 p.m. Eaton, Carroll, Crockett, Dyer, Fayette, Gibson, Haywood, Henry, Houston, Humphreys Lake, Lauderdale, Madison, Montgomery, Albion, Shelby, Stewart, Tipton, and Weakley are under a tornado watch until 9 o'clock our time, Eastern time. So still about a half hour left into that watch time, but I can take us back to right now all the alerts that we have, and this is a pretty active map for February. We're getting a little bit of everything. Of course, we have the flood watches all up and down from Louisiana, parts of Oklahoma, all the way through the Midwest, Missouri, Arkansas, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, southeast Pennsylvania, southwest Pennsylvania. The brunt of that rain is coming overnight tonight. Now you guys probably see the blue in some of these areas, and they're not winter related. These are high wind advisories. So we are in the western New York section. We are under a high wind advisory. Tomorrow will be interesting because we are also going to be getting this rain that we are looking at right now in the Ohio, Mississippi valleys. So we will get the brunt of this in the Northeast, Pennsylvania, New York, the rest of the Northeast. Tomorrow we will get this rain. It won't be as heavy as it is right now, but it's forecasted, I know here in the western New York area, we're forecasted about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of rain from overnight tonight into early morning tomorrow. So we will be keeping an eye on that ourselves. But with that being said, the ground is already saturated, and when you throw in a high wind advisory on top of another inch of rain that has fallen to a much saturated ground, that means some of these older, bigger trees might be going down. Now, we look at the rest of this map, and we see everything from winter weather statements to winter weather storms. Taking a look at the legend here, I'd say more than half the country is under some kind of extreme weather advisory right now, from tornado watches to warnings to flood warnings to dense fog to winter weather statements to high wind advisory. Guys, we are experiencing it all right now on this February 24th, 2018. Just remarkable weather that we are looking at. And you know, I got to raise the question, because Mari and I talk about the weather a lot, obviously, but it almost feels like that some of this stuff is happening a little bit earlier. Back in December, when we started getting winter-like temperatures, it was more towards the middle of November, and as we got into December, we got into a deeper cold. And of course, everyone remembers the end of December into mid-January, we had some severe cold. And, you know, speaking of that, that's another thing I want to mention before I go into any kind of forecast here. This deep cold that we are now seeing entering Europe is, you know, and this goes back to my thoughts on the Weather Channel lady talking about how we've had decline in solar activity over the last 4 years, pardon me, and the planet is continuing to warm. And I just want to show you that this is a part of the world right now. I mean, I would say we're in an average winter pattern right now in the US. The southeast is experiencing a little bit of early spring. I think maybe they're around normal, but I know parts of the northeast and the east have experienced some mild like temperatures, but we're kind of where we should be. But having said that, 7 days with no sunspots, and we look at this Siberian Express as it's been sold on Twitter, thanks to the Starman. He is definitely the authority on UK weather and European weather. If anybody has any questions about what's going on over there, I highly recommend you take yourself over to the Starman channel. If you look in our description box, we have his channel link in there as well. This guy is the authority on European weather. So I just wanted to get that out there real quick. But we look at the temperature blast here, and this is in Celsius, mind you. But we still see a lot of cold air coming in that we don't normally see. We got some minus 20 Celsius over here in Russia invading Europe. As we go further into early next week, Monday, you see the cold reaching all the way past France into parts of Spain. This is some brutally cold air, folks. And again, they're in their winter as well, but this should be turning the corner into spring by this time of the year. Into February, we're still seeing some pretty cold weather, and we start to see a little bit of leveling off here by early March of the 2nd of March. We go into the 3rd, and you see that cold air fighting, trying to work its way back in. But folks, I think if I know I'm not a weatherman, but looking at this model right here, the GFS is suggesting that if you guys just hold on here for this next few days of cold air, it looks like that you might be back to your spring-like conditions. But here the model is also suggesting by the middle of the month of March that Arctic air is trying to make a comeback. So this is going to be an interesting month to watch. I'd like to see what the precipitation forecast is going to be over here on this side of the world for the next few days. I know we have a very active pattern. I'll get to that. Every day this changes, so there's a, I do apologize if this seems redundant, but it seems like every time I look at this, there is a difference in the forecast. So I'll go ahead and we'll check out some precipitation here. Moving into Monday early, you guys are pretty dry. We start to see some snow work its way in. Lots of snow to the north. Pretty quiet weather pattern right now, and I think the Swiss Alps and all that area of France, they need that break. They've gotten record snows, but here comes the heavy snows. We start to see it in the beginning of March. Precipitation doesn't start to make an impact on this part of the region until the 2nd of March. So you guys get a little dry time, but it looks like after that you're getting bombarded left and right. And this is showing up as rain, but it's probably going to be on that borderline of that low 30 degree where it's almost freezing rain. So that's still something to keep an eye on. Looks like the Alps, they still continue to get their mountain snow, but again, let's go towards the 12th where the model's showing colder air trying to work its way back in, and you can tell here to the east that there is snow trying to build back up again. But look at the west, look at the low pressure system that's coming in by mid-month. So just like us here in the States, we are going to see our share of, let me go ahead and just go back to the regular one here. All right, so like our friends across the pond, now I'm not quite sure that they're going to see this elaborate of rain right here moving up through the GFS. Sunday, that storm front starts to move, and look at that. We're going to see the heaviest of the rain overnight tonight into Sunday. There's mid-morning into midday. It's finally into Pennsylvania. Northeast Ohio's getting it pretty good. And then moves into western New York. Now it's almost going to be flirting with cold temperatures here at some point, as it will cool off, but not quite enough by the time that precipitation moves off to the east and that cold air does make its way into the northeast. Luckily, most of us will just be dry and cold. And this is what we've been waiting for, this lull of dry time on Tuesday. But unfortunately, late Tuesday, we get some more moisture drawn up from the Gulf. And here we are again Wednesday, the same region that is looking at flooding in the Mississippi, Ohio Valley. Once again, we'll see that storm front start. Now, this week is going to be a little bit more active, I think, for the southeast. Looking at the GFS models right now, early March, you would think that it's a springtime type pattern down here as we look at the last day of February, and we see the storm pattern now shifting a little bit further south instead of going right over Illinois and Indiana and Ohio. Now it's starting to make its rounds through the southern parts of the United States: Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina, Virginia. You guys are going to be looking at the majority of the wave of storms in the beginning of March. And then as we move through March 5th, here we've got another big storm system moving through, and it looks like the heaviest amount of rain is going to be again in the southeast. So Mother Nature is definitely spreading the love. And again, by the middle of the month, we're looking at another large low pressure system right after another. So ups and downs. Old man winter doesn't want to let go. Spring is trying to make a comeback for sure, but right now the current situation that we're experiencing here in the Midwest and the Ohio-Mississippi Valley is a serious matter right now, and I really want people to focus on that weather down there in Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama. Those storms that are just popping up out of nowhere. Let's all be thankful that it's nighttime and that we don't have the energy of the sun fueling these storms, because the way these are forming right now. If we had the light, the heat of the sun right now, these could be even more dangerous. And so just to me, this is just a rare experience as far as looking at this type of weather in February. But again, it's not too early. I mean, we start seeing this kind of severe action most of the time in mid-March, towards the end of March. And so we're not too far off base, but still something to keep an eye on for those folks. Let's hope that everybody gets through the night very safe. They've already got enough to deal with right now with the flooding, let alone the threat of tornadoes. All right, guys, I just want to step up and do a quick little update. Please like and share, and make sure they're getting the word out, guys, about the grand solar minimum. This channel is really about educating people about the grand solar minimum. When we do live updates like this, this is to show you the impact that the upcoming grand solar minimum will have on our climate. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, folks. No pun intended, but this is just the beginning. So the you know, if you don't like the up and down and the hot cold of the climate, you're not going to like the next few years as we begin to go into the grand solar minimum. On top of that, we've got numerous earthquakes and volcanic activity that's on the uptick as well. Mari did a fabulous piece. Please check out the Cinnabon volcano eruption, the previous one that we just did. So very good piece. I recommend that one get shared as well. We got to pay attention, guys. Lots happening really fast, and it's hard to keep up. I know there's a lot of channels out there that give good information, and just take what you can from each channel and try to be as prepared as possible. All right, guys, we'll talk soon.